Well, hello there. How are you going today? Hope you are doing well and everything is fabulous in your world. And thanks for joining me. And we are back to have another look at the strange realm we find ourselves in.
In the past, there was a battle outside of our ice wall by the Custodians where they attacked Asgard. Now, the Pleiadians were living here at this time, but they were forced to go to a different land. Now, on this map, you can see Asgard was over here in our lands, but they were forced to come over here to Pleiades, which is right over here next to the Celestial lands. Now, the Pleiadians are taller than humans, but they're very kind with humans. But they did not help us during the last battle with the Custodians before our last reset during the time of Tartaria. They currently exist in Pleiades, but their environment has become toxic because the Anunnaki have tried to take control over them, forcing them to look for new homes. Now, they have visited our known lands and tried to exist here, but they don't want to exist among humans because we're too toxic and we live on a lower vibration. But they want to exist in a more peaceful land, but our lands are not so peaceful right now. And since the Anunnaki have infiltrated their lands, they're actually looking at the clone lands which have been abandoned. Which I can go ahead and talk about the clone lands in the next video. Just go ahead and follow along and let me know in the comments if you want to hear about the clone lands.
I thought we were in the clone lands. Just look at Hollywood, right? I mean, interesting. I'm not sure what that map's called. I think Noscon Fundus is, and that's the channel on YouTube as well. Interesting theories. It's definitely an edge, though. We can't really prove any of this, but it's interesting to think about, and it definitely makes me think about that clip. Right, there was a guy, I've forgotten his name, basically works for Space Force, Donald Trump's Space Force, and he literally says, "Think of the ocean as space, and out there in the ocean, there is a continent, and it's called the moon."
Let's say we're in Miami and we're looking out over the wide open ocean. That ocean is deep space. The orbit around the Earth is the shoreline where the waves are crashing. The deep water is space. And there is a continent out there, 3 times the size of Africa. That's the moon.
Now, it sounds very much like he's describing what that map shows, right? That, outside this flat realm we find ourselves on are other realms. Is that space? Is that the galaxy? The solar system, all these terms, because I think everything they tell us is inverted, for one. I'm definitely on the track of, extraterrestrials, aliens come from the ocean. That doesn't mean they're ocean-dwelling beings, right? It just means that their entry point into our realm is through the ocean. So what does that mean? Under the ice wall, under the dome, is there a bottom to the ocean? Are they somehow coming up from underneath? I don't know, but let me know your thoughts. But yeah, like, what do you think? All these aliens and all these people that, all these races that people channel, it's always the Arcturians, right, or the Palladians and all these different races. Like, I don't believe in space. So if there's any validity to any of that, where are these people? Are they in outer lands? It's interesting. Though, if that's all true, I am a little bit annoyed that they didn't help us when we got invaded. Because he said that, humans are too toxic and their vibration's too low. Well, that's not true. Some humans, yes. The program, yes, definitely leads to that. But, a lot of us are way above that. So we could use a bit of help, Arcturians and Palladians.
If you do not believe that people have special abilities, mutations, and powers, then please turn around right now, because this small section of this declassified document will change your life forever. The metagene. The metagene is a biological variant lying dormant in select members of the human race until an instant of extraordinary physical and emotional overstress activates it. An energetic chemical is released in response to adverse stimulation. A chromosomal combustion takes place as the metagene takes the source of biostress, be it chemical, radioactive, or whatever, and turns the potential energo response into a catalyst for genetic change. The main focus of the catalyst power is a giant gland in the middle of the human brain called the pineal gland, and the nutrient for increasing the pineal's action is the adrenaline. The metagene factor gives the ability of psionic power. The main interest of the aliens, especially the Greys, is to understand and control the metagene for their own race. They try to do this using biological experiments to make hybrids from both humans and aliens. They believe perhaps the men from the planet Earth are the deadliest creatures in the universe, because only on Earth people are apparently capable of generating the metagene factor, which means natural psionics ability, which is real power. The principal races in the universe are physiologically the same. The pure, cold logic is a normal order to most important races. Basic sameness makes for predictability and security. The enemy one knows are the ones you can guard against. This is not the case with mankind. While most are uniformly human, some, many more, apparently than anyone had dreamed, possessed a latent tendency towards superhumanity, natural psionic abilities. That in itself could prove dangerous for any idea of alien domination on Earth. But couple of mankind's inherent belligerence with the fact of the metagene effects, each human is unique and Earth becomes a spawning ground for a unpredictable super race if we have the chance. Others have already demonstrated an awareness of man's potential along with the human history. Nordics treat this. This is because the aliens are here to control the Earthlings before we dominate them. And they want our most important secret, the metagene factor, which is the aliens' only hope. And I find this so funny because there are two comic book universes: Marvel Comics Universe and DC Comics Universe. Marvel calls it the X gene and it's responsible for the mutants. And in the DC universe, they call it the metagene, and it's responsible for some of the characters like Static Shock. Now, it's funny how the DC Comics fan page website also mentions the metagene in the exact same way. And would you like to know what it says? A metahuman is a human being who has a metagene, a genetic mutation being on par with mutants in the Marvel Universe, and post-humans and gene active in the Wildstorm universe, which when activated can give them superhuman powers. The activation can occur through different methods, including high levels of physical trauma, chemistry, and magic. The term metahuman was first coined by the alien dominators, and it has been used to describe any human being with what are commonly described as superpowers. And I mean, that's the same thing that I just read to you in that top secret declassified document. So, do you still want to believe that there aren't extraordinary people walking amongst us? The declassified document says the same thing as an online created comic books fan. I mean, they put this stuff right in front of us all the time. Now, let's try to figure out how we're going to activate these powers, y'all.
What do you think about that? Superpowers, do you think they're coming back? I find it interesting that, most people, at least most people that, I've spoken to, think about these things, and especially children, right? They all pretend to be superheroes, right? Flying's a big one, flying in dreams. Energy balls. I used to like make energy balls and pretend, you could throw them at people like a Super Saiyan, and the whole telekinesis thing. People trying to move things with their mind, trying to speak to people through their minds. But we all do this, right? But where have we learnt it? Where does that idea come from? Because, like I said, kids do it, right? Before, it's out there as an idea, but it's definitely fringe, right? It's definitely not pushed. But a lot of people, think about these things and try and use them. Does that mean that it's some kind of remnant memory, right? A DNA memory? It's interesting. Obviously, we have the whole mutant, you know, timeline or narrative. Like you said, there's Marvel and DC Comics, all that stuff, with Superman, Batman, and all the X-Men. And, just recently, right, in the last, I don't know, 5 or 10 years, there's been a lot of shows and movies made about this, especially series. There was that one called Heroes. There's a new one out. I can't remember what it's called, where only women get it. They can shoot like electricity and stuff. It's definitely a common theme. So is this true? Are we going to get our powers turned back on? And if so, what's going to be the trigger for that? Because they say radiation, it's a big one, right? It's always radiation, but radiation is just something that radiates off something else, right? So literally, if you've got a radiator heater in your house, the heat radiates off it. That's why it's called a radiator. Um, so is that energetic? Is that an energy that's going to come in or plasma that might activate us? Because, I mean, I think that would be cool, but at the same time, pretty scary, right? Because there's still a lot of people out there that you would not want to have superpowers, isn't there? Is that what this whole thing for the last 5 years, 10 years has been about to get us ready to have superpowers? Let me know your thoughts.
Everyone's DNA, they use less than a third of the DNA. Did you know that there are immortal genes? Did you know that you have immortal DNAs? Did you know that you have the DNA to grow any part of your body, to change it any way you want to? Did you know you have the DNA of humanity? Did you know that you can turn a predisposition of genetics of blindness into a predisposition of sight? Did you know that you can tap your DNA to not only make you immortal, but reverse your aging? Do your genes have that? Yes, they do. It's what gene fingerprinting is all about in its infantile stages. But it's embarrassing when we really know it. Because the great question is, well, if I have an immortal gene, how come I'm not immortal? You know why? Because you focus only on your emotional means to an end. So your DNA holds what is replicant in you to an experience. You have never gone outside of yourself to create the experience of yourself.
All right. Well, that was JC Knight channeling Ramtha. Interesting, right? All this stuff about genes, what's encoded in our genes. It's, what I find interesting is one, they seem to be attacking our gene, right? Our genes, DNA, with all this forever chemical stuff and toxic stuff they're putting in all the food that alters our genes. And now we have all these genetic, diseases, right? And people born with genetic, faults, anomalies. And the other thing that it makes me think about is sites like ancestry.com. And I think, was it called 27? There was another site made by one of the wives of, the technocrats, 27 and now or something like that. Can't remember exactly what it's called, but that was the same thing. It was like basically, take a swab of your, DNA, piece of hair or whatever, and send it in and we'll send you your DNA, your family history. Do you think they're looking for something? Do you think that they're scanning all this DNA because they're looking for people with certain bits of, certain chromosomes in their DNA, right? Is this what this is all leading to, Because I don't know, are we going to have a final battle with the parasites, do you think? Because if we are, then superpowers would be handy, definitely. Or do you think this is just our evolution as we raise our frequency up into a different reality? Because obviously, it's shown to us so much, and spirits, right? Which I guess, I would put in the realm of beings on a higher frequency. They all seem to be able to fly and do stuff, right? All the depictions of angels have got wings, and we've just changed that into capes, right? Like Superman, like what are the future people going to think of when they find a statue of Superman with a cape on? Like, because they're not going to exactly know what it was for. And this is what a lot of the, art from the past that we see and we assume things, but we don't know what it means. I mean, you would think wings mean flight, but what does that mean? Did they have wings or could they just fly because they had superpowers? Or are they angles? I don't know. That's a whole nother story. But let me know your thoughts. Are we superheroes in training?
I believe much more is possible than we know. Human beings have a lot more skills that they could develop. I also have a granddaughter who learned this skill and bops around with the mask here today. I'm amazed how well it works. Groups around the world are using various techniques to achieve very similar results. I decided to investigate the origin of these methodologies, which led me to InfoVision in Moscow, Russia, and its founder, Mark Komisarov, who discovered blindfold perception 20 years ago.
Постарался создать методику, которая, как мне казалось, могла бы активизировать эту способность.
We developed a methodology that first worked with kids. Then I tried it with a blind kid, and it worked too. Then I tried it with adults, and it turns out the methodology also works with adults. And that is what I've been doing for the past 20 years.
Эту способность у любого человека.
Mark Komisarov's colleague, Mihaela Istrati, volunteered to offer further assistance on how the InfoVision technique actually works.
Once these three are in harmony, consciousness, mind, and brain, then everything works at the speed which the mind is able to accept this ability.
In an attempt to bring scientific validation to their methodology, InfoVision reached out to reputable Italian neurosurgeon Professor Enrico Pierangeli and the theoretical physicist Professor Elio Conti from the University of Bari in Italy.
We prepared some masks.
We prepared some masks with instrumentation, able to measure the quantity of light inside the mask. Once we were sure the quantity of light inside the mask was zero, the experiment was done.
The experiment was done. And the
volunteers were able to read the words on the computer.
The computer.
1942.
Also, when they were asked
in which color these words were written, they were also able to describe the colors. We just recognized this as a fact.
Recognize that this is a fact.
Well, there you go. People seeing without eyes, people, that are blind, people seeing things behind their head. Superpower, right? And they say they've got a process that can teach you how to do this. So what else is lying dormant that we can do already? We just don't know, do we? Because, everything we're taught through the education system, through the propaganda system is all how weak and little and pathetic we are, right? That's how they want us to think of ourselves. But I think we all think of ourselves more like the hero, right? We all feel like we're here to do something, that we're significant, right? That we matter. And that's because that's the truth, right? And, that's, I guess, what you would do if you're invading a group of people that are much more powerful than you. Because the easiest way to win a war is to make your enemy surrender or give up, right? And that's what all this propaganda is about. So, I talk a lot about the sine wave, the sine wave that goes from positive to negative and back, and that we're coming out of a negative part of that sine wave, right? And we're on the upward slope. So, do we lose some of our powers because of the low frequency in the negative part of the sine wave, and then we get them back as it goes up to the positive, up to the golden age. Is that what's happening? Is that what's coming? Is that why these elites are so scared and building bunkers underground and everything? I mean, it's definitely an interesting, field of thought, right? An interesting rabbit hole. But let me know your thoughts, and thank you for spending time with me. I hope you're enjoying this. If you are, please give me a like, share it around, boost, and of course, subscribe if you're not already.
How to create a frequency so strong that reality obeys you? In 1998, a quantum physicist did an experiment that got him banned from conferences. He proved that human consciousness can collapse quantum probabilities. Translation: your mind doesn't just observe reality, it selects which reality manifests. But 99.7% of people emit such a weak frequency. Reality ignores them completely. Then he discovered the 3-day protocol to amplify your signal 1,000 times. Intelligence agencies classified it immediately. It's called dominant frequency projection. And once you master it, synchronicities become constant. Double slit experiment. Copenhagen interpretation. The discovery that shattered physics. Particles exist in multiple states until consciousness observes them. Then one reality collapses into existence. You're not living in reality. You're choosing which reality becomes real. But here's the problem. Most people's frequency is static noise, doubt, fear, inconsistency. The quantum field receives 1,000 contradictory signals per second, so it delivers nothing coherent. Princeton Engineering Lab, 2003, Consciousness Field Study. They measured electromagnetic output from human hearts, found that coherent emotional states create measurable disturbances in random number generators up to 3 miles away. Your feelings aren't just internal, they're broadcasting electromagnetic commands. Weak frequency equals reality ignores you. Dominant frequency equals reality obeys. Here's the 3-day amplification protocol. Day 1, singular focus. Choose one desire, only one. Multiple desires equals signal interference. Spend 24 hours thinking only about that. Every thought, every decision, every action. One frequency, no static. Day 2, emotional saturation. Don't just think it. Feel it at maximum intensity. Not hope, not excitement. Certainty, gratitude, power. Feel it like it already happened. For 10 minutes straight, 3 times today. This generates coherent electromagnetic output. Day 3, zero contradiction. This is where most people fail. You can't emit, I am abundant, then complain about bills. Every contradictory thought cancels your signal. For 24 hours, zero doubt, zero complaint, zero fear-based talk. What happens after 72 hours? Your frequency becomes monolithic. One clear, powerful, consistent signal. The quantum field must respond. Within 7 days, synchronicities explode. People appear with solutions. Money shows up unexpectedly. Why? Because you stopped being radio static. You became a laser. Reality doesn't respond to weak, scattered signals. It responds to dominant, coherent frequency. Test this starting tomorrow. Day 1, one desire only. Day 2, feel it intensely. 10 minutes, 3 times. Day 3, zero contradiction for 24 hours. And watch reality. Start taking orders from you. This is quantum mechanics applied to consciousness. Share this with someone ready to dominate their frequency.
Are you going to try that one? I definitely am. And, what he was saying, and, that was probably an AI-generated clip, yes, but all the things that were said are basically what I've found out. I've been studying this whole manifesting thing for a very long time, trying to get it sorted out, what's going wrong, because we're clearly missing, some parts of it, right? But I would also, agree with what he said. The main thing is focus on one thing. And this is being told to us, down the line from, religious leaders and gurus to, successful people to the self-help. Of course, self-help leave out half the stuff and make it too, very hard to read, too much information. I'm not into the self-help movement myself, just because I think it's all about money, right? The people running it and writing the books, they're making money, but the out of their audience, the amount of people, the percentage that actually make a change, a significant change to their life after doing some kind of self-help course is under 3%. So it's pretty low. But I definitely also believe that where attention goes, energy flows, right? We've heard this one before. And that's what it is. When if you can, focus on something, and they were saying just for a day, it's worth a try, right? Because I definitely know that that's part of my problem is I'm scattered. I've got a lot of stuff that I do and a lot of my focus keeps changing, right? Because I've got a lot of things to focus on. But I think I can do 3 days and see if that does a change. And I mean, I suppose if I focus on abundance first, then, I'll have time all the time to do it, right? Because that's really the thing that's going to free most of us, right? Is abundance, which in this realm equals cash, right? Money, something you can trade. So, yeah, let me know. Are you going to give that a go? Have you tried manifesting before and have you had success? Let us know your stories.
Did you see that route? Hold on, let me zoom in. That's the route for them to get from the Earth to the moon. Do you see what we live in? Do you see what we live in? Do you see the same picture that I'm looking at right now? This is Holly Weird faking moon landings, and then this is the route for them to get from the Earth to the moon. Basically, it's got two circles and something long. That's the best way to describe it. This makes me laugh. Look at that imprint right there. That's a moon imprint into Nevada sand right there. So when they say they had the moon landing and there's the imprint of his foot, there's the imprint. They flew up there in that little junky tinker toy, basically device, flew up there and then they put their feet into the moon. That's what they're telling people. In his funny suit, pretending like he went to space. Here you go. And it's funny because Bill in this book talked about how...
there you go. A space flight to remember. They're just telling us that NASA's full of dicks, I think. Yeah, so the moon landing. Funny old story, that one, astronauts calling back to Earth on a landline with no delay, all these dumb things. The footprint, another thing about that footprint is they say that the original spacesuits on display. I guess it's at, one of NASA's museums, and the print on the bottom of the feet is different to that one that they show in the picture. They brought moon rocks back, which turned out to be petrified trees from Earth. There's so many problems with it, and now they tell us they're going back to the moon. Right? A couple of years ago, it was we can't go back because we've lost all the telemetry data. We can't go back. We lost it all. We taped over the tapes and dumb stories like this. But now, obviously, that they've resurrected it, they've found it somewhere. I don't know. Maybe they went to the Wayback Machine. Who knows? But they're going back, so they say. And Canada came out a couple of months ago and said they're going back to the moon as well. So the moon's popular again, right? It's because of all these aliens, I guess. Got to go up and have their meetings on the moon. But what do you think the moon is? Let me know. Is it real? Is it solid? Is it just a reflection? Yeah. Let me know your thoughts.
A recent earthquake in Myanmar back in March revealed more of our hidden and buried past. Now, I don't speak Myanmar, but I left the original audio here. If someone can translate, let me know.
ကျွန်တော်မသိဘူးရှေးအောင်သူတွေကပေါ်ပြီးတော့မှပဲကျွန်တော်စောင့်ကြည့်ကြတာပေါ့ဘယ်တော့တည်းကတော့ဒီဟာလေးကိုအစားဆုံးလေးတော့ပေါ်လာပြီးတော့ရိုက်ကြတယ်ပေါ်တယ်အခုမိဖို့ကြတယ်
Well, it looked like the roof, the top of a buried old world building, didn't it? But I also don't speak that language. Does anyone speak? Does anyone know what the language that was? Myanmar, I mean, that's close to Laos and Vietnam, that kind of area, but I'm not sure what language they speak. Do you speak it? What were they saying? Is it true? But yeah, exciting, right? Like, and we're seeing this so much so often lately. All these, so much stuff being found in digs, like there's been buildings, there's been artifacts, obviously underground, tunnels and, different bits and pieces down there. So much of the old world is being revealed. But then again, we are in the apocalypse, right? The great unveiling. Is this another symptom of raising your frequency, that we can start to see more of what was already there? It's starting to be unveiled to us, discovered in our new reality that we find ourselves in. What do you think? But there you go. Hope you enjoyed that one, guys. You and your superpowers. Let me know what you think about that. And also, please do give me a like, hype this up if you're able. And if you're not subscribed, what the bloody hell are you doing? Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll be notified of my upcoming uploads and all that kind of stuff. And thank you for, being here to the end with me and spending some time with me. And thank you to everyone who does hype the videos, like the videos, comment on them, share them around. I really, really do appreciate it. And stay awesome, guys, because you are. And you're super too, right? Stay super. And I'll talk to you on the next upload. Bye for now.
You are not going back outside.
Kisses?
Say mama. Not you.
Oh my God. Come on, let's go.
And then 18 calories on the rower. Are you following? And then it was, wait, no.